Hi, I'm Sisonke Msimang, and this is my poem called For Nokutela Dube, Who Traveled. I was listening to a nice white lady celebrating the Australian elections, and she said how proud Australian women should be that they got the vote in 1902. I corrected her and said, white women, and she blushed. I thought about you then, as I often do when someone is hopelessly oblivious. I thought of you traveling to America from South Africa and then living in Brooklyn and throwing dinner parties like it wasn't 1897. Whenever I am scared to step forward, I think of you deciding to go to Tuskegee to meet Booker T. Washington. And yes, Booker T was problematic as a hell, but he built a house of learning that still stands today, and so it made sense to go. I think of John, who was a good husband to you until he wasn't, saying, good idea, my love. Let's go and hear what he has to say. And I see the two of you traveling by train in your finest clothes all the way down to Alabama. In my mind's eye, John is wearing a hat and looking handsome, and you have black feathers in your hair, and both of you are so very far from the hills of Inanda and the skies that we Zulu people named after ourselves. But you are a picture everyone can't help but admire. Whenever I do not know what to do because life is hard in this place where I am too often the only one of us in the room, I imagine the two of you, after the big man's speech, talking late into the night, heads bent towards one another, trying to figure out the best way to be free. And I am jealous of your political camaraderie intertwined with love. In my mind, you look heavenward and tell John, who was a good husband until he realized you would not bear him any children. And you say, our freedom will come when we own the means of production. And he cocks his eyebrow and he says, I love it when you talk Marx to me, baby. I imagine you saying, I'm serious. I'm not even playing, Mina. Our voices will build a school. I think you pause and I think you say it again. Sweetheart, we will sing until we can buy ourselves a small piece of freedom. I imagine John saying, yes, Tanwa-san, yes, we will. And then you did. You went from house to house in America on a tour. You played a piano, and John talked up a storm and talked about the situation of the native in South Africa, which is what they called us back then. And we did too, because it was their language, and you had mastered it. Audre Lorde was right, but to be fair, using their tools was the beginning of dismantling their house, and she was speaking with the benefit of hindsight. And so you traveled and you spoke of Black freedom in the Queen's English and sang songs of our own shores in Shaka's Zulu, and the two of you raised enough money to build the school that would make us free. Whenever I am scared today, in this time and place, on land I can lay no legitimate claim to, I think of you. I see you traveling back home, across the Atlantic and down, 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 and around to the port of Durban. I see you getting off that big ship and gathering your strength to begin the build. I search for footnotes to tell me that you rested, but I can't find any. I am hopeful that you did before you pulled out that money and bought that land that had been stolen from our people, and you built the school, and John came home, and he helped too. You named it Ohlange, the place where nations gather. Ohlange students made the future. They built furniture and printed the news to tell our stories in a newspaper you two decided to call Ilanga Lase Natal, the Natal Sun. The first edition rolled out in 1903, and when they looked at it, those students understood immediately that our words matter, and they also saw clearly that this is how you get free, through song and money and buildings where we might teach ourselves to make furniture and newspapers and invest in our own ideas. It's funny how white people never think anyone else has a history. Imagine that. And a note on Nokutela Dube, she was the first South African woman to found a school, the Ohlange Institute. She also co-founded Ilanga Lase Natal newspaper, which is still published today. She was a founding member of the Natal Native Congress, and her husband was John Langalali Balele Dube, the founding president of the ANC.